So last night we saw something crazy. Pereira versus Hernandez fight night, and in the main event, Hernandez earns the TKO victory over Pereira. Definitely did not think I was going to see that, but Hernandez, amazing game plan, utilized the takedowns very well, good ground and pound, solid, he was winning the fight by far, and then in the fifth round eventually just Pereira couldn't take it anymore, and Fluffy Hernandez got the TKO victory. It's quite funny actually, because last night we also saw Ferreira versus Ngannou finished Ferreira in a similar kind of way. He got the takedown, ground and pound until he got the TKO victory. Anyway, let's go over this card, and then at the end we'll talk about Ngannou versus Ferreira. And so first up, we had a Rebellis Despain versus Austin Lane. Look, I picked Despain to get the KO here. He obviously didn't. Despain's kryptonite really is the takedowns. Whenever he gets taken down, he always loses. We saw that in his last two fights, and to be honest, can you say he got fraud checked? Yeah, he kind of did get fraud checked. He had a lot of hype coming into the UFC, and that first fight where he got the knockout in like 10 seconds, that really did put him out there. And then his next two fights, he just got taken down, and he lost by decision in those two fights. Sorry. So I don't really know what's next for Despain. I think the UFC should really give him someone that basically never does takedowns, just stands and trades, because that's what we want to see. We really want to test how good Despain's boxing really is, and like striking. We saw in that second round against Austin Lane, he was like proper piecing up Lane on the feet. But the first and the third round where Lane utilized those takedowns, he used those and he got the decision victory there. Anyway, next up we had Ardelin versus Martinez. Man, this is going to be a long video because there were only two finishes on this entire card. One was in the main event, and then one was in the Edwards versus Vidal fight. But apart from that, literally every other fight were decisions. So it was a bit of a dead card, I'll be real. Ardelin versus Martinez, I picked Ardelin. And I think Martinez got the win there. So I didn't watch this fight, so I don't really know. But similar to the last fight, Penn versus Reed. I picked Reed. He got the win here, so that's good for my predictions. But I didn't watch this fight. I don't think I'm really going to be watching many of these women's fights that are on the prelims, to be honest, because they end up like these kind of fights, which are just kind of boring, I'll be real. Good win from Reed, I guess. Next fight was Edwards versus Vidal. Like I said earlier, this was one of only two finishes on the entire card. Edwards latched up the submission and got the victory via submission, so that was good from her, I guess. Bad for my predictions, but it is what it is. Good submission from Edwards. Again, I didn't watch this fight, but well done from Edwards here, I guess. Next up, Katona versus Matsumoto. Finally, an actual good fight. This one, I picked Matsumoto, the undefeated Brazilian, and he remains undefeated. A lot of people saying it was a robbery. I don't know. I think it was a close fight, but I think Matsumoto deserved the win there, and he got it. So fair enough to Matsumoto. I don't know who's going to get next, especially after that performance, because it wasn't as dominant. It wasn't like dominant enough to get like a really good fighter for his next opponent, so I guess we'll see who he gets next. But Matsumoto remains undefeated, gets the decision over Katona. Next fight, Nicolau versus Almabayev. Bro, this was a boring ass fight. Almabayev got the unanimous decision. Literally nothing happened in this fight. In the third round, Almabayev did get a knockdown on Nicolau, but apart from that, the rest of the fight was kind of dead. Almabayev's win streak continues. 17 fight win streak for him. Good win over Nicolau. In terms of what's next for them, I think Ulanbekov just beat number 7 and Nicolau. Maybe he should get a fight against someone maybe like Perez. Perez is number 6 ranked, so I think that would be a fair matchup. Nicolau, he's lost a few now. Maybe a fight against Ulanbekov. Yeah, I think that's his name. Yeah, maybe a fight against Ulanbekov, but no, I don't really know. But yeah, next fight we had was Elkins versus Pineda, and bro, a lot of damage was traded within this fight. You know, a lot of blood, a lot of punches. Even at the end, they gave a round of applause before he announced the winner. But yeah, Elkins gets the decision victory here, 29-28. You know, it's crazy. 2024 win for Elkins is kind of mad. But yeah, I don't know what's next for either of them. But yeah, I mean, it was a good fight, to be fair. Dug deep. But Elkins dug a little bit deeper, according to him. But yeah, pretty good fight. Next up, Smotherman versus Hadley. This fight did indeed happen. You know, in the predictions video, I was debating whether this fight would actually happen, but it did happen. Smotherman got the win, unanimous decision for Smotherman, so good win for him. Not really much else to say, to be honest. Next up, Johnson versus Sumo Daerji. 29-28 for Johnson, UD decision. You know, again, just average fight. These fights are generally so boring. Nothing really happened, but yeah, good win from Johnson. I did in fact pick him to win, and he did win, so that was good for my predictions. But apart from that, bit of a boring fight. Next fight, Rob Font versus Kyler Phillips. Rob Font gets the UD decision here, 29-28 all across the board. So yeah, I mean, good win from Rob Font, finally back in the win column after 2 losses against Figueiredo and Sandhagen. So what's next for them? Rob Font, you know, we've seen Cejudo call him out already in his classic Cejudo calling out style. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, I might be kind of late for that. I think Cejudo said he's going back down to flyweight, which, to be honest, I would like to see, because I don't think he's very good at bantamweight. But yeah, I mean, if they're still up to that, I think Cejudo versus Font, or Font versus Marlon Vera. Marlon Vera's lost his last 2, I believe. So I think it's time for him to fight someone lower than him in the rankings. Actually, to be fair, in his last fight, he did fight Figueiredo, who was lower than him in the rankings. But anyway, yeah, look, Font versus Cejudo, or Font versus Marlon Vera. In terms of Kyler Phillips, look, man, he's number 12th ranked, or he was number 12th ranked. He might go down now, I'm not too sure, but I think maybe him versus Montel Jackson, that would be a good fight. Maybe him versus Mario Bautista. Actually, no, that won't happen. Yeah, no, I think for Kyler Phillips, Montel Jackson, that would be a good fight. But yeah, I mean, overall, good win from Rob Font, and yeah. And finally, this is the main event of the evening, Hernandez versus Pereira. Probably the only good fight on this entire card. Genuinely, the whole card was so dead, and then finally the main event made up for it, and that was largely because of Hernandez. Big up to Fluffy Hernandez for the win here. Absolutely dominated Pereira, which I never expected. I thought Pereira was going to win, because, you know, he was on an 8-fight win streak before this. Fluffy Hernandez was only on a 5-fight win streak. I know that's still a good win streak, but yeah, just extended that to a 6-fight win streak now, I guess. You know, he utilized his grappling, like I said in the intro, utilized his grappling so well. Just did dominant ground and pound for 5 rounds pretty much. And then in the 5th round, he earned that TKO victory over Pereira. You know, in his post-fight interview, he said he wants, just give me any fight that'll give me a title shot. Realistically, he needs 2 more wins before he can before he can even mention the word title. So who do I say he fights next? Well, he has a few options. Top 5 should fight him as of yet. Maybe someone like Brendan Allen, he could run that fight up, or Roman Dolidze, or maybe I doubt Marvin Vettori would ever fight him. I don't know what happened to Marvin Vettori. He just disappeared. But, you know, if he ever comes back, maybe we should run that fight up. But yeah, Hernandez, that would be a good fight. Yeah, maybe Roman Dolidze or Brendan Allen. In terms of Pereira, what does he do now? Because obviously we've seen him before. I don't know, he didn't really do it that much in this fight, but we've seen in the past. He's one of the biggest entertainers in the UFC, the showman of the UFC. Maybe he should fight someone outside of the rankings just to secure himself in the ranking spot. Maybe the winner of Bo Nickel versus Paul Craig should get a shot at Pereira, or maybe Joe Pyfer. I don't know. I doubt they'll let that happen, but yeah. So yeah, I think that's what's next for them. Maybe even Hernandez versus Paulo Costa could happen. We've seen Paulo Costa on a losing streak right now, so maybe that fight could get him back in the wins column. I mean, with how Hernandez was looking today, man, I don't know, or last night, shall I say, I don't know, even if Paulo Costa could beat him. I guess we're gonna have to see in the future, but yeah. And now that we're here, we might as well talk about the Ngannou versus Ferreira fight. I mean, if we're being realistic, this is probably the bigger and better event of last night. Even flipping in the illegal Russian streams, the comments, all they could talk about was, PFL is clearing this event, and it's probably true. We saw Chris Cyborg fight last night, and obviously we saw Ngannou. Very short fight, obviously 1 round, but when Ngannou fight, that's what you have to expect. We saw the fight start. He immediately takes down Ferreira, which is interesting from Ngannou, especially with someone with as good as striking. We've seen him fight Tyson Fury, and his boxing is pretty good. Obviously, I know he got decimated by Anthony Joshua, but we can look past that. Anyway, look, so Francis, he takes him down. He gets out of a submission attempt, but yeah, gets some crazy ground and pound. I don't know what the hell the ref was doing. The ref was just, if he dies, he dies, one of them ones. But yeah, I mean, good win from Ngannou. He's been out the cage for a few years, but good win to come back. He's the PFL heavyweight champion. Obviously, dedicated the fight to his son, so big up to Ngannou. Rest in peace to his son, of course. I don't know, I think he said he's retiring. I don't know if he will actually retire, but if he does, then he had an amazing career. PFL champion, obviously UFC champion, arguably beat the best heavyweight fighter in the world at that time. So yeah, had an amazing career. Obviously, if you guys know about his past, how he grew up, stuff like that, it's kind of crazy. He grew up in Cameroon, stuff like that. Sand mines, one of them ones. But yeah, good win from Ngannou. I don't know what's next for him, but I think maybe he's done. But yeah, so that's about it, guys. You guys let me know your opinions on the Ngannou thing, and also the UFC event, which, let's be honest, was dead. Next week, though, that's the big one, man. UFC 308. My predictions on that soon. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Safe.